Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Philip Yancey tells the story of a time when Albert Einstein was at Princeton's Institute for Advanced Studies, and a graduate student asked the great scientist, "What is there left in the world for original dissertation research?" Einstein replied, "Find out about prayer. Somebody must find out about prayer." As a Christian, I am committed to prayer, but being committed to something and being able to explain it are two different things. Most of us don't need a dissertation to experience the movement of prayer in our lives. We know it, we feel it, but how can we explain it? At best, prayer may be like a diamond. The fire and flash of a diamond happens as light enters the stone through one facet, is refracted, and comes out of a different facet. Perhaps the best that we can do is to catch glimpses of what prayer is through different facets from time to time, without seeing or understanding the whole stone in one glance. As we enter this first full week of 2025, perhaps there is no better topic for us to consider than prayer. So freshly caught up in resolutions, perhaps committing ourselves to deeper prayer in the new year is a good pursuit to strive for. This week we are going to try to capture some of the glimpses and flashes of fire found within prayer. We're going to look at some of the best things scholars, theologians, and people of deep faith have said about prayer and how it touched their lives. I'm calling our exploration today the language of the heart. It might surprise you that we're going to start with someone who wasn't even Christian, but the ache to unite with God in prayer is not exclusive to Christianity. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Prayer is not asking. It is a longing of the soul." Over the Christmas holiday, my grandson Lincoln bumped his head. It wasn't a serious injury, but he was crying and upset, and all he wanted was to be held in the comfort of his mother's arms. Prayer is a bit like that. We want to be with God, surely, but even more, we need to be with God. We need that comfort of being held by God, the assurance that we are loved and that things will be all right again. Too often, our time in prayer is just shooting off a list of what we want God to do for us. Better prayer is simply to reach out and be held in the love of God. That wasn't all Gandhi said about prayer. He also said, "It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without heart." St. Paul said something similar when he talked about the Holy Spirit interceding for us with sighs too deep for words. Sometimes we don't have the words, only the inexpressible yearning of our hearts. Paying lip service in our prayers, mouthing words we don't mean or which have little thought behind them, is empty prayer. God hears the cries of our hearts. Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran added a bit more. Prayer, he said, is the song of the heart. It reaches the ear of God even if it is mingled with the cry and tumult of 1,000 men. One of the powerful aspects of prayer is that God is able to hear each of us in our prayers and also able to hear all of us. God has time for each of us and for all of us. We are each important to God. We are all important to God. In the chaos of our own lives and amid the chaos of all the world, we have a God who cares and listens to us each and us all. Maybe Mother Teresa delved even deeper in her idea of prayer. She didn't think that prayer was so much about asking for things as it was the touching of our hearts with God's. She said, prayer enlarges the heart until it is capable of containing God's gift of himself. In other words, the point and gift of prayer is not that we can spout off what we want God to do for us, but that we draw close to God, and God draws near to us. Finally, for today, if we consider that prayer is the language of the heart, we turn to something Martin Luther said. The fewer the words, the better the prayer. It's not about our words, but about our hearts. The yearning of our hearts to be one with God is at the very center of prayer. Sometimes our words get in the way. Pray with your yearnings and with your cries. You will find God near. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.